So 2014's Kingsman: The Secret Service was really good, and to be honest, I think a lot of people were really surprised how good that movie was. So Matthew Vaughn returns in his first ever sequel that he actually directed the first film and has directed the second film with Kingsman and the Golden Circle. After the destruction of their headquarters, the Kingsmen enlist in the help of their American counterparts, the Statesmen, in an effort to once again save the world. Sequels to any movie are really hard to do, let alone a sequel to a movie that was surprisingly good like the first Kingsman film was. But then you also have films like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Anchorman 2, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And it is for that reason that I am very nervous for the upcoming Deadpool Part 2. However, I will say this, going into a sequel and expecting the sequel to be better than the first film, especially when the first film was such a surprise and something that was so fresh like the first Kingsman film is, I personally think that that's really unfair. That's really rare to have a great film and follow it up with an even better sequel. That's only happened maybe give or take a dozen times in the history of cinema. And what was so special about the first Kingsman is it was on no one's radar. No one knew that this film was even going to be as close to being as good as it actually was. It changed a lot of things. It was very subversive, and it took a lot of the tropes of the classic spy genre, and it really played with it and made it feel like something new that we had never seen before. So when I was going into this movie, I wasn't really expecting it to be better than the original. In fact, I didn't really even need it to be better than the original. With that being said, is it better than the original? No. But that's totally okay. In fact, I quite enjoyed Kingsman: The Golden Circle. This movie is a complete blast from start to finish. Once again, Taron Egerton reprises his role as Eggsy in this film, and he does just a great job like he did in the first one. In fact, there are a lot of really solid performances in this movie. Julianne Moore plays the villain in this film, and she was one of my favorite parts of the entire movie. I love that she was able to play this really over-the-top, really overly diabolical villain who's practically twirling her mustache as she's planning the doom of the planet. There's also a character in this film that makes a return, and I really enjoyed their portion of the movie. I think that the sequel adds a lot of depth to their character that I was honestly really not expecting. However, this movie does do something that I thought was really frustrating and really unnecessary. There are some characters in this film that return from the last movie, and they are pretty much immediately killed off. And I just thought it was a waste of a perfectly fine character, and it didn't need to happen. In fact, so many characters die in this movie that you have Merlin and Eggsy like toasting to their fallen comrades, and they drink so much that they end up getting drunk because of all the cheers that they're doing to the people who die in this movie. And I really could have done without some of the character deaths in this film, especially one in particular who dies very early on in this movie, and I thought that that was a huge mistake. In fact, it was one of my biggest problems with this film. But thankfully, Matthew Vaughn does return in this film, and he again does such an excellent job directing this movie. It's funny, whenever a sequel needs a director or needs like saved, you always hear about Matthew Vaughn. People are saying, oh, Matthew Vaughn should direct Terminator, Matthew Vaughn should do a DC movie, Matthew Vaughn should come back to X-Men, Matthew Vaughn should direct Superman. You just always hear his name being thrown around because he is such an energetic and fun director, and he proves it once again with this film. This is a 2.5 hour long movie, and he was able to keep my attention throughout the whole thing, and not only just keep my attention, but keep me very entertained. Everything you love about the first film stylistically is back, like the really dynamic fight scenes, which are excellent by the way. They took what people loved about the first film, especially the church scene, and they really expanded on that. There are so many really energetic, fun, visceral fight scenes in this movie that were some of my favorite parts in the film. Overall, if you really enjoy the first Kingsman movie, I suggest that you do come into this film with some realistic expectations, because if you do, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. It's funny, it's exciting, it has great action, and it really sets itself apart from other spy franchises right now like James Bond or even John Wick. So did you guys see Kingsman: The Golden Circle? What did you think about it? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video, and if you did, click on the link down below, subscribe to my channel, see more reviews and related things. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.